Hey everyone, welcome back to the Electric Supercar channel. So this week we're going to get into some more fiberglass work. Going to start on the rear, do some stuff for the taillight housings, probably the rear trunk lid hatch, and even the rear kind of diffuser. So we're going to get into that. But first, here's a picture from the winner. So this is Michael. He looks especially sharp. He is sporting the Electric Supercar shirt. All right, I'll also offer, if anybody else wants to buy a shirt, send me a picture. I will throw you on YouTube as well. You can still get yours in the links below. Okay, so last week we kind of worked on the front, did the front lip, headlights, even did some of the footwell panels. So this week I'm actually going to start at the back. So I'm going to work on the engine cover, also the kind of rear wing spoiler, as well as the rear diffuser. Probably even get into some of the taillight housings, securing those. So that's what we're going to work on this week. In order to do a lot of this, I want to take the shell off, and all the times before I did it on the lift, where I had this nice lift or a nice jack underneath, get things on and off. So now I have to get my other jack and see if I can get it under there, get some jack stands. So it'll be a little more challenging, but we'll see if we can do it. Okay, so trying to figure out some of the jack points, because before, again, as it's on the lift, I got the entire underneath that I kind of have access to. So here what I'm finding out is my jack kind of won't even fit under the car. So I'm going to use a little kind of car jack, roadside jack, to just lift it up enough that I can get my other jack under and get it up so I can get on some jack stands. And again, I have to do all this to take off the wheels, because in order to take off the shell, I have to take off the wheels. Lots of hassle. All right, I was able to find I'll call it a decent jack point on the back here. So my rear engine mount, where it kind of mounts the subframe to my car frame, I've got some access there. So again, this can kind of go under, and probably can't see too well or at all, but this right here is that mount. So I can get under there and lift this up and put on a jack stand. At least that's what we're going to try and do. All right, here at the back of the car. So basically, I was able to kind of jack it from that motor mount, and essentially I'm on the jack stand with the other motor mount. So nice to, I guess, figure out my jack points when I'm away from my lift. So if I'm ever out and about and need a jack, I can do it. All right, so one of the things I'm thinking about for this engine cover, the motor cover, is to kind of try and make it a full-on, I'll call it trunk. Because right now it's, I don't know, a foot and a half back from the edge here. And so if you're trying to get into it, it's kind of a really far reach and a lean, and it kind of limits your access. So what I'm thinking about doing is kind of taking this line and carrying it all the way to here. And so this whole thing would be the lid that would lift up. That does mean that I need the rear wing here, it will need to be attached to this rather than this. And so I just need to make little standoffs, some machine standoffs. And anyway, that's kind of the plan. Before I cut it up though, I'll look at things a couple more times. For the kind of rear diffuser, I tend to agree with a lot of people that again, just a big gap and everything else kind of just made it not quite look as sharp, just not quite as crisp and things as I would like it. So I think what I'll end up doing is I will end up fiberglassing this together. I still, I think, want some depth difference, but just kind of get rid of the big gap and just have it kind of blend with some angles. So again, I'll look at that one or two more times, but I think that's the plan. All right, so I've got to remember all the things I've got to remove before I take off the shell. So I got to take off the wheels. I also have these kind of 4 nuts for the rear diffuser here, and I'm going to have to completely remove the rear diffuser. So there's 3 other fasten points. And again, my thought is, because I want to join this rear diffuser, I will cut it off just like right here, so that gives me just enough that I can hopefully kind of slip it up and around and then still fasten it in place. But if not, we'll come up with a different method. All right, got the shell off. It's over here, so this is what we're gonna be working on this week. All right, I had to do a little fine trimming in order to bring the light housing all the way to the front, so it was kind of back here. So I had to just trim a little bit to kind of bring it up front. So I'm thinking about joining these 2 housings. So I've got the plate kind of in the middle, and there's a tiny gap. I'm thinking about joining them so I can have this whole housing, kind of like the front housing that just kind of comes in and out. So I think I'll go ahead and join it. I'll probably do some like short strand fiberglass filler just to kind of set it up, and then so it's kind of in place. And then we'll maybe fiberglass a couple layers over it. And the thought here is I'll probably just do a few fasteners just kind of right underneath. And I think that's all we'll do for both sides. Okay, so I also put back on the rear diffuser here. So where it's at, it's pretty flush. So I'm just trying to decide if I want it flush or if I want it recessed a little bit. The other thing I'm looking at is this kind of a motor cover, engine cover, and it's not quite even. I think the worst is kind of up over here. I'll show you. It's just kind of sitting up a ways. I don't know how well you can see. So it's not too bad, but just it needs to go down. So I'll probably take this off, find the places that need to get sanded. And then once this is kind of where I want it, I'll draw out some lines for where I want to cut things. Okay, so I've been doing some checking, just kind of with the straight edge across the gap here. So I marked levels that are kind of even, high, and so most everywhere is high. And kind of opening and closing the lid, I think I've learned that essentially it's this flat, we'll call it landing surface. So it's not necessarily, again, I guess I could do something to that entire bottom surface here, or just this little lip here. So when I say little lip, I'm talking about this right here. So I'm gonna need to bring that down in a couple areas to get it more level. So I think I wanna do that before I kind of start cutting and fiberglassing. All right, I've been working trying to level things out. This side's getting pretty close, so like all the way up there is looking pretty level. This side needs just a little more help. It's probably hard for you to see. This side is still just a little high. Okay, spent quite a while, but got everything kind of just how I want it. So it's just kind of perfectly level right along here, all the way on both sides. Also, while we are mixing up some fiberglass, I will do similar things here. So I need to get it kind of positioned exactly how I want it. And then this gap is almost too big for the short strand fiberglass filler. So I'll probably actually end up putting some fiberglass sheets in there, kind of laminating as much as I can. Okay, we are going into fiberglass mode. So as I mentioned, this is all kind of even, looks really good, kind of sanded it. So for this one, I think I'll probably put some short strand fiberglass filler kind of in this crack, and then I'll laminate maybe 2 or 3 sheets on top. Once that's cured, I'll cut it. So again, my thought is cut line kind of all the way here, down around, and then under here, and then back up. So then this whole thing will be kind of like a trunk. Anyways, once I get it cut, then I'll flip it over and laminate from the other side. So this guy, I've got kind of some spacers to kind of give everything good spacing. This one, what I'll do is I'll start laminating from the back side. This has got so much gap that I'll probably actually be able to just fiberglass in there, kind of just fold some fiberglass and put it in. Anyway, and I'll laminate from both sides. So this one, I've actually got it kind of recessed ever so slightly because I thought it would still be good or look good just to have kind of a panel offset. So we'll see how it all turns out. All right, so got a couple layers of fiberglass kind of underneath here. I was going to do some fiberglass on top, but I ran out of the hardener, so I still got some resin left, but I need some hardener. So I need to go to the store, but it's kind of too late tonight. So we'll let this set up, we'll let that set up, and then we'll do more fiberglass tomorrow. All right, done fiberglassing for a little bit. So you can see the section there of the short strand fiberglass filler in that joint, and then 2 or 3 sheets over the top here. So we're gonna let that set up, and then down here as well. So down here, again, I kind of tried to put a lot of fiberglass in before I started kind of putting layers over the top. So I should have some good structure in between as well as kind of over the top. And again, I tried to recess this one just a little bit to kind of try and give it some, I don't know, some depth, some interest. I didn't want to just kind of have it all be plain. So when this sets up, we will kind of clean it up and see what it looks like. But I'm thinking it looks pretty good. The other thing for this one is, again, I did 3 or 4 layers kind of under here. So again, kind of all around right there where it joins. So again, I think this one's going to be pretty secure. I will have to kind of trim the inside a little bit and find kind of new mounting hole locations when I put it on the chassis. All right, I also put some fiberglass in between the 2 light housings. So before I just kind of did some short strand fiberglass filler to kind of give it a radius and kind of connect them. Now I'm just adding a little bit of strength by some fiberglass, and I'll let this cure and then I'll do the other side. While I'm waiting for the all the fiberglass to cure up, I'm gonna go back here and rewire some of my taillights. So right now, I think I mentioned before that they're all kind of hardwired. So anyways, that's not ideal. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut and re-splice on some connectors so that they'll be easier to access, easier to replace, things like that. All right, I finished kind of cutting and putting on connectors for the 4 taillights. So I'm gonna go ahead and test them now. I didn't change turn signals or reverse lights. Those were still working. So it's really just brake lights and park lights. So my track record has not been the best. So I'm thinking maybe 3 out of 4 will work. Let's see. Okay, I've got my power supply connected, my battery's still dead. I'm gonna try and turn on the car. I've been messing with that center console, so something might be disconnected. But I'll turn on the car and I'll try brakes and park lights. Oh, there's blinkers. Okay, so here's park lights. So it's 4 for 4. Brake lights. Okay. All right, so I noticed the brake lights did not go on. The brake lights do go through the controller. So I thought they worked without the controller, but again, when the regenerative braking goes on, the brake lights do go on through that. So I'll have to go back and look at the schematics, but we'll kind of test the brake lights when the controller gets back. Okay, so that's the thought. I will just kind of cut on the inside of the blue tape and then kind of along the bottom there. And so that whole lid, the thought is that whole lid will be kind of a trunk or hatch. So we'll get to cutting and then we'll flip it over and do some fiberglass on the other side. All right, there's no going back now. Well, I guess you could go back, but anyway, this is kind of the panel removed. So again, nice big opening for the motor and any sort of trunk space. And there it is. So again, I've laminated that side, so now I'm gonna kind of clean things off, sand it up, and laminate this side. All right, so laminated a couple more layers. So now this side's got lamination on both sides. Should be very, very strong. It also has the short strand fiberglass filler. And while I had the resin out, I also kind of did the other sides of these. So I'll let this cure up and then try and clean it up. But we are running out of time, so that might do it. All right, here it is back on the car. It doesn't quite sit down because of where I laminated. So kind of that trough there, that little piece that sticks up. So I've got it laminated all the way across so it doesn't quite sit down there. So I'll either need to carve this piece or that piece. But additionally, I'm thinking it might be good to have this one kind of curve around. Also, it's gonna need, we'll call it a landing. So again, it kind of stops there. I'll probably want to carry that all the way out. So the other one is, so these ones I got cleaned up. Again, just kind of did the fiberglass on both sides. So that should be pretty secure. So we can put those in. I got the taillights kind of all sorted. So there's some brackets and things to, so I can mount the taillights. But that's gonna be for another time. All right, I just put the kind of taillight housings in. So again, those look good. I think this whole trunk lid looks good. And we've got the rear diffuser also kind of in place. So again, I think I'm pretty pleased with everything. Got a lot more work to do though. As I mentioned, we'll We'll need to put the taillights in. We've got brackets and things. I need to secure those to the clamshell there. This one I got to just clean up. I've got to kind of cut off the inside so it can fit down. Probably drill some new holes to mount. This one I want to kind of probably make a edge here as well as kind of a lip for it to sit on. And then I need some sort of latch. Probably also do gas springs. So again, you can see a lot more work to be done. All right, that's going to do it for this week. See you next week.